Hi, I'm Eric Rechlin, and I'm going to talk about what is on the USB drive that is in everyone's registration packet. This is something we've been doing for several years now. It's including a USB drive since we outgrew the CDs and DVDs and things like that we had in earlier years. And we're continuing the same structure as in past years. So this has emulators, manuals, fonts, discussion forum archives, the PPC archive that Jake Schwartz has been collecting over the years, a mirror of Warren Furlow's hpcalc.org, a number of ROM dumps, photographs, both HP press photographs and photographs done by the user community, various publications, journals, all the conference proceedings, mirror of the hpmuseum.net website, and a mirror of my hpcalc.org website. In 2017 and 2018, we had filled completely a 32 gigabyte USB drive. And we're still collecting more information, so 2019 we went to a 64 gigabyte drive, and it was still just about full, over 60 gigabytes. So in 2020, for the virtual HPCC conference, we doubled the size to 128 gigabytes and had about 80 gigabytes used on that. This year, we're still a 128 gigabyte drive, but it is virtually full. It is 123.7 gigabytes of usable capacity on the drive, and it has 123.7 gigabytes of data on it. Jake's PPC collection grew by about 7.5 gigabytes. My website grew by a little over 1 gigabyte. HP41 by about a third of a gigabyte. HP Museum grew by 12, not because the site grew, but because the portion of it that I was including grew. Valentino Leo's website doubled in size to half a gigabyte. And my literature site, which was really only in its infancy last year, has tripled to nearly 20 gigabytes. So this is what you can see on it now. It's about 99.99% full. 10 megs free on a 128 gigabyte drive. Over 800,000 files, although over 600,000 of those files are the archive, newsgroup, and message board postings. About 100,000 files are my website. Several other sections are in the 5,000 to 10,000 file range. Things that have not changed since last year, so if you've got last year's drive, there's not going to be anything different. First, I should say everything on past drives is on here. So if you have a 2021 USB drive, you don't need any previous one anymore. It supersedes them. So what's unchanged, the fonts collection, which a lot of them were made by HP, some by Ted Kerber, some by Luis Vieira. The HP Solve newsletter that Richard Nelson had edited for some years and was published by HP. HP's learning modules, I know Gene Wright had a lot to do with some of those. Those are training materials published by HP. The old calculator ads that Gene also had collected and presented at this conference several years ago, over 1,500 of those over a multi-decade period. Photographs, there are hundreds of high-quality photographs. Most of them are official HP press photographs, and others were taken by me and other people in the community. The PPC notes, PPX Exchange, those are non-HP publications, but include them anyway because they're calculator related. And then a historic version of my website as it looked like in December '97, soon after I launched the website.
Does that include the entire PPC journal?
That's all in Jake's collection.
Oh.
And that is on here, yes.
Oh.
So that was back when my website was bigger than Google. Unfortunately, they went in a different direction than I did.
So everything that's been on all of the CD ROMs that we've gotten before?
They all should be on here. If they're not, many of the items that were on those that were specific to conferences are in the HHC section of this drive, and then the other collections are in these separate folders. More things unchanged since last year. Some of the other archive sites, hp42s.com, jacqueslaporte.org, those were both websites that disappeared, and we were able to rebuild them from archived versions. HHUC.us is there through the whole time that Joe maintained it through 2019. Greendike.nl, those are some recreated manuals from various calculators, just beautifully done, but unfortunately that website disappeared too, but I was able to capture that before it went offline. The HP Journal, all 478 issues of that, and La Gazette de Paquet-Care, or however you say it in French. It's a publication from 2013 through 2019 of calculators specific stuff. Some HP, some other brands. So those are all things that are not new since 2020, but some of them are improved since the 2019 drive. Also the Palmtop Paper, HP portable paper, I added that last year. The super site, that was a website dedicated to the Palmtop, the DOS-based Palmtops, 95LX, 100LX, 200LX, over 1,000 programs. There are several mirrors of it up still, and I combine those together along with stuff I found on archive.org and some other things trolling the internet to rebuild as much as possible on that. And I say unchanged, but actually I think I added about 10 files or so since last year. Sections with minor changes, the ROM Dump section, I've been able to get some more by talking to various people. The only models for which there are no ROM dumps of any kind available are the 10, the 18C, 19B, 46, 81, 92, and 95C. Now, there are some others that we only have broken or pre-production dumps of, but those are the only calculators for which no ROM dump has currently been made by anybody, to my knowledge. The emulator section, I've updated all of them, AMU 28, 42, 71, the TNX emulators from Tony Nixon. Those are, well, they're a mix of simulators and recreations, but they're very beautifully done Windows applications to use many of the older models. Claudio Lapilli's new RPL simulator that runs on now not just the PC, not just Windows and the 50G, but it can be installed on the Prime G1 as well.
Wow.
The Prime simulator from HP, which actually a new version was just released yesterday, which is not on your drive, but it's close enough. AMU 48, I have, since I updated this slide a few days ago, there is a new version of that, so that also I just added to my website yesterday, so you're missing that. 31S, 34S, and Umbrella have not changed since last year. My hpcalc.org copy, I've updated everything on that site as of September 25th.
Wow.
And some bonuses that a normal user of the website would not see that are on the drive are the historic versions of all programs on the site. So if a program was updated 10 times, you'd see all the 10 older versions as well in the details listing. And also, when you're looking at the details listing, you can click on any file within a zip or tarball and see the individual files directly without having to open up the zip file. Both of those you can actually do on the live site as long as you log in. You just create an account and log in, and then you can get access to those. But normally you wouldn't see those if you're just browsing my website. And finally, the HHC proceedings now, the 2021 ones are there. There are a couple things that have changed, notably Bob's presentation that he just gave on the trivia. That wasn't on there, but it'll be available at some point, I'm sure, online. Warren Furlow's website, hp41.org, I've been manually updating, so he's made a torrent of it, and I've taken what's on the torrent and then manually incorporate any changes he's made to the website since then, so that it's current through the most recent change as of a week ago, so last month. The newsgroups discussion forums, HP 48 newsgroup is pretty much dead now, but every month there are at least a couple posts, so I've been adding those in there. The rest are unchanged. And then Jake Schwartz, PPC Archive, he will be talking about that this afternoon, but it's now on version 2.39 with over 50,000 pages. The collections of non-HP manuals have seen some slight updates, both to Katie Wasserman's collection and the basic.hop2.org. Those are non-HP manuals, but still, I think, interesting and relevant to collectors. The videos collection, I was thinking I would have to delete the 2018 and 2019 videos, but those were on the 2020 drive, but those are still on there. I don't list it here because I will have to delete those to free up space soon. But for now, you have the 2018, 2019, and 2020 recordings, plus the HPCC 21 mini conference. The older conferences, 1986 through 2019, are available from Jake Schwartz for many of them, and others are available on my YouTube channel, and you can also get them on the HHC videos USB drive. That's a separate thing. Sections with the bigger changes. This is what's really new since last year. Valentin Albio's collection is much bigger. He is in the process of scanning thousands of pages of documents that he's collected, letters, brochures, that kind of thing, mostly from 40 years ago or so. And some of them are on there now, some of them are not, but it's already about double the size it was last year. I probably could do another whole talk on that, the updates on there, but I don't have time for that. You can browse it and see everything on there. There's a lot of good stuff. I found a new and I shouldn't say new periodical, new to me, on there's a website for, I think it's called abandonedwaremagazines.org or something, and they had a French magazine, L'Ordinateur de Poche, or however you say it again, I can't speak French. But they had 23 issues scanned from 81 to 84, and I cleaned up those scans, optimized them, made them OCR PDFs, so those are now newly added to this drive. And then hpmuseum.net, last year I had a subset of the drive on there, subset of the site on there, with just the information about the handheld calculators from the 70s and 80s. And I've since expanded that to have all of the downloads from that site on there now, including Series 80, Integral, that kind of thing. It's about a little over 12 gigabytes last updated in February. Then, biggest thing for me has been the HP Calculator Literature Archive site. I will talk more about that in detail this afternoon, but just a quick overview. I did a soft launch of this at the HPCC virtual conference last year. I have not really publicized it, really planning for the full launch to be this conference. What I had a year ago was very minimal. It was mostly just HP's manuals, at least many of the ones that had been on their website, plus a number that were scanned by the community that I cleaned up and a small number I'd scanned. But now I've been undergoing a huge scanning project, and I've scanned hundreds and hundreds of manuals with more to come. So it's triple the size it was, 20 gigabytes almost. It has 542 PDFs that came from HP that were available for download at some point on their website, or that I was able to get directly from them. That's almost 87,000 pages. And then PDFs scanned by the user community, mostly scanned by me, and that's 637 books with over 74,000 pages. So in total, it's over 161,000 pages of manuals available online on literature.hpcalc.org and also on your USB drive. So you have one in your packet. If you're watching this on YouTube or something and would like one for yourself, you can get them through my Commerce website, $45 for extra copies. 20 of that goes to the HHC committee to cover conferences like this. The shipping, that depends where you are, $5 to $15. So quick demonstration. So you stick the USB drive in. There are two files here. One is to open the PPC archive from Jake. You double click on that, and then that takes you to this, which he will talk about not too long from now. But then this browse the drive brings up a web interface that you can see all the content. So there's the HHC materials, which has each of the years that we have proceedings for and stuff like that. Some years had floppy disks a long time ago. More recently, your CDs, that's all in there. The videos, this is my separate videos website where you can see all the different talks from the last few years, plus some more goodies not from conferences, like some training from Gene and some other miscellaneous stuff. hp41.org, that's the torrent. It's been updated. My website. HP Museum, this is the full file structure of all the documentation on there. PPC archive, which I just showed you how to get to. Don't open that directly from the web browser because you really need a good quality PDF viewer, or else the hyperlinks between the pages won't function. The manuals collections, my literature site, which I'll talk more about later. The basic calculator manuals. Katie Wasserman's manuals. Valentino Bio's collection. Lots of good stuff on here.
These are all on the flash drive?
Yes, this is the flash drive I'm looking at right here. My website from 24 years ago. The Green Dyke manuals.
And that site's no longer up?
No, it was brought down. I should say the owner no longer wanted to maintain it. The site's no longer available, but it recreates all the manuals in a nice format that looks like you're actually reading the book, kind of.
We used to spiral bound.
All the archived HHC sites from Joe's old website, hp42s.com, Jacques Laporte. It's got all this stuff about Cordic and various stuff in HP35 and other older models.
Thank you for saving that.
Yeah. This is the 200LX site that has a whole lot of different files for the 95LX, 100LX, 200LX. HP Journal, all the articles and publications here. HP Solve, same thing. This is the new one.
And this may be one of the few sources where you can actually get reliably the HP Solve issues, because the HP website, they don't care, and they keep losing the files and stuff, so.
And I'm also on the PPC archive with an index.
You see some of these French publications on here. Palmtop Paper. PPC Notes, PPX Exchange, Emulators that I mentioned earlier, fonts collection, lots of different fonts, photographs from HP's press photos, lots of
Yeah,
different
they're all
ones.
high resolution stuff.
Oh, I used to have one of those.
So you can actually read the keyboard notations.
The photographs that I had taken, and all the ROM dumps on here, including many beta versions, the 49G, if you want to see how things changed over the years. And then all the learning modules I'd mentioned before. News groups, this is a browsable way of seeing, like this is Comp.sys HP48, you can see over the years it's been diminishing in activity. But this is a month, so we pick 168 ones that month, you can go in.
Is that your website, or you said that was activity website?
This is Comp.sys to HP48 news group.
Okay.
And then same format for the old HP Museum forum and the new one through that's the old one through 2014, the new one through 2018. I can't remember who it was, but one of the users of the forum had made this archive, but hasn't updated it since then, so that may be something to update. These are Gene's ads that he found on the
Are
internet.
they listed by model number?
So if you look at the files, he mentions the model number in a lot of them.
Now, is that searchable? So if I want to know
It's a web page
What-
you can just.
what's the earliest ad that he has there for, you know, an HP35 or something?
Right here, they're sorted chronologically, so 1972, January, this is the first mention he has of the 35. And then this is a CD that came from HP Museum that has some various stuff from the Palmtops. So any questions about that drive? Yes.
What extraordinary means did you use to get all this to fit? Because I know you cannot simply take and copy from one flash drive, from your flash drive into a blank one.
You can, it just takes a very long time. To copy the files would probably take 12 plus hours.
Will it fit?
If you find a big enough drive. And one thing that I found is when you buy a flash drive that says it's 128 gigabytes, it doesn't mean it's 128 gigabytes. First of all, there's some capacity loss in formatting. Second of all, it's 128 decimal gigabytes, not binary gigabytes. So gigabytes, not gigabytes.
Uh-huh.
And third of all, there's some variation in from model to model that one might be as much as a gigabyte bigger than another brand. And even within the same brand, with these HP USB drives I bought for the conference, 28 of them were, I think it was 117.41 gigabytes, and 4 or 5 of them were 117.31 gigabytes. So they all look identical, but some are about 100 megabytes bigger than the others. So you have to be very careful that the drive you're copying to
Well, so
is
it's actually 200 free megabytes is what you
no,
said.
because the bigger ones the separate ones I didn't bring with I formatted them all with a small size, so that they're all the same size.
So they're formatted what, FAT 32 or
No, I had to do exFAT.
XFAT?
I found FAT32, the stuff wouldn't fit. I can't remember why. I think it was because of the cluster size being too big or
Yeah.
something like that. So
You can't get
exFAT
that.
would let me fit the files on them.
Are you offering an exchange for the defective smaller drives to the larger?
And now that I think about it, you all have the larger drives formatted the size of the smaller one because I had to make sure to use the smaller one as the master, or it would fail the copy if I copied the smaller drives. So yes.
I think what's important here is, especially for next year,
Mhm.
you could probably say, in my hand is the internet of HP calculator information.
The whole internet.
You know, just about, you know, I mean, and it has the advantage of less duplication. So if you really have a serious research project that you're trying to find certain information, you'd be far better off with Eric's drive than going to the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
So Eric,
Yes.
are you still using the same scanner that you've always used, or did you upgrade?
So I'll talk more about that in my talk this afternoon.
Okay, good.
But I do have multiple scanners, one of which I just bought specifically for the purpose of scanning books.
Okay. I'd be interested in that.
Have you done any reviews of scanners? I just bought a new scanner. I wonder what,
I found some that are terrible.
Epson?
No, actually HP.
What?
Yeah.
Because
Don't buy HP scanners. At least every one that I've got experience with, at least in recent years, is awful. And it's not just the software, it's the hardware.
So Epson would be,
I've heard very good things about Epson scanners. I'm willing to have the budget allow for it. I have my eyes on one particular Epson that I would like to buy, but I've been using a Canon for a flatbed at present.
So you
The
upgraded
scanner
your
always
server-
did a good
servers?
job for me, but I can't get a driver for it anymore.
There are solutions to that too. I'll talk about that this afternoon.
So you upgraded your servers, your storage?
Yeah, in order to handle the new literature site, it is costing me more each month to run the website. I had to upgrade the server for that.
So this is all stored in a cloud somewhere then?
It's in a data center in Fremont, California.
Okay,
But yes.
all right. It's not in your local,
No, I've not hosted it in my own home since I was in college.
sure.
Yes.
When you use scanners, do you just use those smaller, there's large scanners that you use in architectural rendering and so on. Do you have any access to those?
No, that would make some of these scanning easier if I had a large scanner that's good, but I don't. So I'm limited to about about 9 inches wide, maybe 8 3/4 inches wide on one scanner, and exactly 8.5 inches wide on the other scanner.
And do you have any access to color variation like blue line transparent and those sort of types of
I don't have any fancy scanners. I know there's some that do infrared for dust elimination, stuff like that. I do have one of those actually from David. I use it for scanning slides, and HP slides I scan with that scanner, and its infrared dust removal does help a lot.
When you do your PDF optimization, what version of Acrobat do you use?
I don't use Acrobat.
Okay.
I don't like Adobe, I stay away from your products.
What do you use?
There's a whole
Open
pile.
source, yeah, I'll talk about that in my talk, but a bunch of free and open source tools.
Because when I post to the website and all, I use 11 Pro, and I often find that stuff I pull down can be optimized to a quarter to a fifth of the size when they're posted, so I just.
Yeah, I put a lot of effort into optimizing while not reducing image quality, and I'll talk about that this afternoon.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Eric.
Good.